Wir bleiben zusammen, ja, Paul? Wir bleiben zusammen.
Hi there, my name is Magdalena, and today we're going to review All Quiet on the Western Front. This chair is just now. I'm in. The film has been nominated for 9 Oscars this year, and I thought it might be quite interesting to review it from a girl's perspective, so someone who does not indulge in war films. I have seen 1917, but then I haven't seen Saving Private Ryan, so it's not my cup of tea, but I have a lot of great things to say about this film. Ignore this completely luxurious over-the-top chair, which I'm totally gonna indulge in. Let's jump right into it. All Quiet on the Western Front. All Quiet on the Western Front is based on this anti-war novel from 1928. Interestingly enough, the book was banned by Nazis, but right now it's set as one of the most important texts in schools in Germany. We all know how there's so many challenges with bringing a good book adaptation to the screen. We know this with Daniyal N recently, who did the Dune. He took some risk, but it paid off, and I am a strong believer that adaptations should never be 100% truthful to its source. Film is a different medium to a book, so the way we receive the book should not be the same way we would receive the film, because the film should be treated as its own entity. Let's talk about the plot. We follow a young soldier called Paul Bauer, a young German soldier who was pretty much fooled into the glory and success of the war. Millions of people just died in that war, in that continuous battle that just went on for years and didn't really move. Like the front couldn't advance on either way. It was just like a bloodshed for years, which was completely unnecessary. Without getting into the details, because I'm not a historian, it definitely accentuates the appeal of non-English cinema. The movie was commissioned by Netflix. It is on Netflix. I wish I had a chance to see it the big screen. If you have a chance to see it in the cinema, I would recommend going to see it in the cinema instead of watching it from your laptop screen. As of today, it has a 98% Rotten Tomatoes score. Funnily enough, it's outside of Germany, and that's what I'm trying to get into today. So everywhere else, the film has been extremely well received. Germany, yeah, they're not biggest fans of the film, and I thought it'd be quite interesting to see what they had to say. The inner plot, the brains, and the story have been removed by Edward Berger and his screenwriters and replaced with a Hollywood program, said Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. If Marcus Baumer was a thoughtful narrator who gradually woke up to the cruelty and futility of the war, Berger's hero is a simpleton, a fool who still hasn't realized by the end what is happening on the battlefields of Flanders. Personally, I did not see any of that, and I'm gonna unpack this. I did not see the plot there. There was a clear plot. The other comment about the bomber being a simpleton and a fool who hasn't realized what was happening is just completely untrue, because from first 5 minutes of him not even joining the battle but just being there, you can pretty much see what is happening. The reason why he stayed there was because he had no fucking choice, and that's what we find out. He's not being a fool. I think he's just doing what he's told and pretty much encapsulating the drama and the horror of the war. And he did become a hero in the end. He didn't need to gradually achieve victories or try to escape in order to become a hero. He was just trying to make the best out of it, and that's what the film pretty much showed us. The statement that he was a fool was true, but maybe for the first 10 minutes when he's being brainwashed into going to the war. It was very beautifully and tragically showed how all those young lives, all those young boys were tricked into thinking they're going to be heroes. They were going away from the parents for the first time, they're going for the biggest adventure of their life, they're going to a foreign country. You know, those old scholars are capitalizing on that and sending those poor boys into the battlefield, which, as we find out, has not moved an inch for so many years. So even though sometimes we have a change of pace or we go somewhere else with the camera, the fact that the front's not moving is very clear from start to the end of the film. The whole film plays with this mirroring, this reflections of both fronts, both sides, and it's quite rare in war films, because very often in war films we get this one perspective of one side. We never actually look into what is happening on both sides, and the horror and the realization of the same shit is happening on both fronts and nothing is really happening has been beautifully presented. It's again same as with the line are not being moved, but this mirror effect is just like a constant reminder of hell. I absolutely loved and hated the fact how uncomfortable this film made me feel. The mud, blood, just gory and very visceral experience throughout the whole screening was just incredible. So I read somewhere how the director's intention was to drag the audience through the mud, and he very much achieved that. It felt like I was right there with those boys, just being stuck in this dire, hellish situation. Now that's gonna sound dark, but I loved every single death scene in this film. Let me explain. You know how in every war film we're focusing on the main characters, their deaths work as a film stopper and we have to be there and witness the death and feel the death. I really enjoyed how meaningless and unordinary every death in this film was. So even the death of Paul Baumer, you know, who's the hero of the story, his death was so meaningless that it once again highlighted how unimportant each of that person was. It worked as a reminder that, hey, what we just witnessed on the screen was happening in the lives of millions other lives and stories, and it's not because they haven't done anything to be celebrated, but just how once again it reflected how little their lives were cared for, how they were tricked into going into this war, and how at the end of the day when they died there's nothing to remember them for. They meant nothing in this war, and that's what the film was about. There's been so much conversation about the morals of deaths of background characters, and I really liked what Berger did with that. He flipped this idea of, hey, what would actually happen if not even the death of the main character that the story tells us has any impact or has any meaning. And that's what the film is about. It's not about heroes. No one's a hero in the story. There's actually something very interesting about the title. So we have All Quiet on the Western Front and Im Westen nichts Neues, which is nothing new in the West. Depending on which title you're looking at, you're watching a different film. So in All Quiet on the Western Front, you really pay attention how there is no communication, there's no sound, there's no life happening there. But then if you're looking at the original title of the film, that's where you would actually start paying attention to how every day is the same. I mentioned this before, how like those boys were stuck on this constant loop of mud and death, and funny enough I did not pay attention to it up until I realized what the original title was. Two different titles, two different films that you might be watching. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you feel the same, that the title does make you pay attention to different things in a film. All in all, I completely agree with the Oscar nominations. I really hope that it's going to be recognized for what it is, because it was a nice breath of fresh air. There are ups and downs in how we look at films like that. So obviously, like having Germany being its country of origin, it does feel very authentic. But on the flip side, the critics are overprotective and overcautious with their sacred text. And I think it's important to remember that when you watch a film like that has such an importance, of course there's going to be some scrutiny, and it's important to remember that films should be seen as its own entity. Like and subscribe. It's been good reviewing a film again. Catch you guys later. Bye.